All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Today, we have a huge show for you, so stick around. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, and remember, you can always find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over on our website, marfooglenews.com. As far as Russian state TV threatens to attack 2 NATO nations, there's been a lot of back and forth. It feels like we're in the Sum of All Fears movie all over again, like we're in some sort of Tom Clancy novel, but this is real life. Now, it may be as fake as a Tom Clancy book, but as far as what we are seeing from all of the government entities and mainstream media, if you were somebody who just woke up today and believed everything you saw on TV, which a lot of people do, you would believe that it's about to go down. Now, as far as what is happening right now, it is getting really, really insane. On their TV, an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed with guests on state TV the possibility of Russia attacking 2 members of the NATO military alliance. State TV host Vladimir Solovyov, one of the most prominent figures in Kremlin-backed media, made the comments on Channel 1. It says a video of the discussion was shared on X, formerly Twitter, and Anton Gerashchenko, former advisor to Ukraine's Minister of Internal Affairs. It said Kremlin propagandists have routinely warned of a looming world war and strikes by Russia on NATO territory over aid and weapons provided to Kiev by the JB administration and members of the military alliance. It says Newsweek had contacted Russia's foreign ministry, and of course, they said, attention, France and Poland. Russian propagandists threaten with attacks, but no one will know who did it, Garchenko wrote in a caption accompanying the video. It says Solovyov named NATO member France as a possible target. It's not the first time he has proposed an attack on the country since French President Emmanuel Macron declared there are, quote, no limits to Paris support for Kiev. Now, this is crazy because what they're saying, but no one will know who did it. Attention, France and Poland. Russian propagandists threaten with attacks. Are you guys catching what's being thrown here? But no one will know who did it. France has been popping up a lot lately. Macron has been publicly on this kind of tour saying, we got to stop being such wussies and we got to be ready to be able to send our troops right into UKR. Sending NATO troops into UKR, which they already have. We know there's specialists. We know that there's troops. We know that people are in there at this point. That is World War III. That is NATO versus Russia. That is a direct fight. That's not a proxy. That's NATO versus Russia. As far as we don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes, but Russia does, and China does, and the U.S. does. Of course, NATO does, and it's almost like it's going to be held back from us, kind of like if they're clearing a field of trees and they leave just the line along the road so nobody in the neighborhood complains. And then after they've cleared miles and miles of trees, they chop that last, 5 rows of trees. And then overnight, it feels like, football fields have just disappeared. When in reality, it's been going on for years. So it's getting really ridiculous right now. And we are closer than ever to a real world war. And I truly believe that we are going to see a kinetic war between NATO and Russia. I have my reasons. I hope you list yours down below and stick around for the rest of the show. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Let's go over to the map here, and again, we're going to head over to the Senate. Passes a ban of Russian uranium imports, risking market havoc and soaring prices. Before we do that, I do want to go over to the chat and say hello. Thank you for everybody that has made it in. Butterfly31, Jonathan Floming, James Damron over on X, Stephen McMahon, of course, Robert49. Thank you for everybody that is watching over on X, aka Twitter. Thank you guys. I appreciate everybody that's been popping in over there lately. Bobby Sue, thank you. Dat one redeemed rich. What is happening on? Angelou Perfeli, what's going on? Foog. Hey, PNW Prepper, nice to see you. Mr. Hubo Diggs, Burger Time, nice to see you. A lot of regulars here. Thank you. See here, we've got It Wasn't Me. It wasn't me. That song now is going to be stuck in my head. Carol, Montana Life, Mary McHenry, and howdy, Marf, Mystery School. Hey, nice to see you. Lots of old school Foogle fam here. Okay, let's bring in our co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So let's go back over to the map here. I just gave you a quick preview of something really crazy. In fact, while we're at it, again, stay tuned for this because something insane happened on the sun here. Something very, 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 very weird, very odd event. We'll talk about that when we get over to that. But Wages World caught something tremendous. We'll also cover around that same time period something very strange on radar that was just caught. Dex, do you want to go over the Senate passes a ban of Russian uranium imports?
So apparently shares fell of this uranium trading suddenly when they found out on Tuesday. It got notified after hours that the Senate voted to approve legislation banning the import of enriched uranium from Russia. Yes, the same one that supplies 25% of the uranium used by 90 U.S. commercial nuclear reactors. So we actually have been buying and continued up until now buying a lot of that for our nuclear reactors. Sending the measure to the White House, which said it supports the effort to block those shipments of reactor fuel and is expected to sign the deal. So that's going to make uranium prices soar. So I guess our electric bills will go up, but we're doing the right thing because we're not sending any money over to Russia for that uranium we've been buying. So apparently that's new news and an interesting plot twist, so to speak. You might even not even known we were buying that from them. You might have known back in the day during a lot of the political back and forth that some major uranium deals had been done with previous secretaries of state and previous presidential candidates, et cetera, that had all been talked about. So it shouldn't be a no-brainer that they sell a lot of uranium or enriched uranium, but apparently we've been buying quite a bit of it, and we use 25% of it for our own power needs, but that's now been cut off.
Yeah, and it's you just put one after the word uranium. Yeah, that whole thing. And thank you, 33 Avon 88. Thank you from Europe, says the book by Zbigniew Brzezinski. The Grand Chessboard explains so well what is happening in the world today. Sending my prayers to y'all. 33 Avon 88. Thank you for supporting, and I appreciate you watching from all the way over there. Gunpowder Productions. By the way, if you're in Europe, how do you feel about this? I know we have a lot of people over in Europe in different places around the world. How does it look from where you are in the world? If you're watching from Austria or Australia or New Zealand or Brazil or Poland or wherever you may be watching from, how does what is going on here in the United States look to you? How does it appear from an outside eye? If you're looking inside from your media, from whatever is filtered through your 5 companies that own everything, what does it look like is happening to you? I know that when we look at other countries like Brazil and others, when they're doing things, it's super obvious what's happening. I feel like to a lot of us, what's happening in our country is really obvious. Is it that obvious to the people that are outside the country, the ones that aren't brainwashed by the system because they're trying to brainwash you on your system? Just saying. And then Gunpowder Production says HR 6090. 60 divided by 90 equals 0.66 and Upside down 9 could ban Bible online. I did not. I don't. I'm not. I feel like we've covered HR 6090. Is that? I will have to look into that. Gunpowder. Thank you. Appreciate that. And if that's true, that's really terrifying. But I wouldn't be surprised. The world is what's crazy is even the folks that are completely supportive, they say, hey, we need to support everybody. They're not supportive of just one religion. Whatever's the most whoever's the biggest group, they're now the enemy in every category. If you are the majority, then you are the enemy. You are the they are the oppressed. You are the oppressor. And then we have China unveils video of its moon-based plans, which weirdly includes a NASA space shuttle. Once you see it, you'll get what we're talking about. There's actually, maybe they just use ChatGPT. Dex and I were kind of making fun of this as far as, like when you look at this, first of all, weird, just like random pyramid in kind of the foreground here. This is the image they were talking about, and they're talking about having a space base on the moon. As far as these satellite dishes, Dex, I think you questioned, like, are they actually even efficient if they're stacked like that? I don't know. I think usually they're supposed to be spaced out to work properly. There's radar domes, and then what looks like canisters or something, maybe that's for oxygen, carbon, whatever, to keep everything going. You see kind of a moon buggy in the background, but this is what they're doing. And then in the background, you have straight up like a carbon copy of one of our old, I feel like that's not Artemis. That's not the Artemis. Which one is that? It's not the Saturn V. The Saturn V was the tall, long one. It was, gosh, I can't remember what this one is called. But if you know it, put it in the chat. And what is it?
It's Space Shuttle.
It's just called Space Shuttle? I feel like
that's the big orange thing was the fuel and the 2 rocket boosters on the side and the shuttle's right behind it. That's the standard Space Shuttle config.
Yeah, so this launches this, and then the Space Shuttle takes off the back of it. Yeah. Either way, it's like it's I guess they're saying that maybe they're going to raid our museums and use it for their moon landings. I don't know. But it is saying that the China National Space Administration, the equivalent of their NASA, released a video of its concept for a lunar base to be developed across the next couple of decades. CNSA unveiled the video. This was in the video. Wednesday, April 24th, is part of the country's annual Space Day celebration. The project is known as the International Lunar Research Station, or ILRS, and was jointly announced in 2021 by China and Russia. When they are saying that they are no limits partners, they're saying in the future there's not going to be, they're not going to care about what's going on in America unless they are running it or splitting it up. It's kind of crazy because, I mean, you could think about it. What if, just like the man in the high castle, what if our country was literally split down the middle, where you had the East Coast controlled by, say, Russia, the West Coast controlled and operated by, like, China? Nobody could even imagine that right now. I know that some preppers have thought about that or thought about some combination of it. But the people, what I don't get is the people that think that is absolutely impossible, that think we are just absolutely unstoppable, when there's never been a Rome that didn't fall at some point. If you look at what's going on with everything, including our currency, our debt, everything that happened in 2019, the printing of the money, our divides, our culture, everything about it, it's like somebody is from the inside out trying to tear it down. It's hard to take on the U.S. directly, but if you go indirectly, you hack, you infiltrate, you go in and you try to take down one piece at a time, mark the infrastructure, hit it one little piece at a time. That's how you could really hurt us. Look at our inflation right now. Look at all of this. And I bet some of that is because, shoot, you've got places that make food all over the place that are down. You have all sorts of manufacturers that have now moved out, and now they're not moving back. Dex, go ahead.
Oh, one thing that just hit me is the whole space shuttle thing. What if, they've spent so much time infiltrating our designs and our spacecrafts or our aircrafts in particular over the years? I wonder if they don't just actually have the designs to the space shuttle. I mean, I know it's retired, like we retired it many years ago, but I wonder if maybe they plan to actually bring it back, and they're just going to bring it back themselves because they have it. So maybe that's we know they have copied just about everything we've done, whether they've stolen it or they've just reverse engineered it from pictures. But yeah.
Okay, and you want to hear something even crazier? So you know that all of our NATO allies and Japan and everybody else, Israel, they've all been sending stuff to the moon. And of course, Elon Musk is making the mission to Mars. Maybe some backdoor meeting happened in one of those rooms that the glass turns to white when they flip a switch. Maybe one of those meetings happened and China was like, well, we want to join you. And they're like, well, we just can't do that. And when this contract on the ISS runs out, we're actually going to do our own thing. Or maybe China was reversed. Maybe they were like, yeah, after this contract runs out, we're going to do our own space station. We're going to do our own thing because we've got our own plans, and they don't line up with the rest of the world. As far as look at the countries that are joining alongside, and these are going to be spacefaring countries as far as we know because they're joining in on these initiatives. China, Russia, Venezuela. Can you see Venezuela going into space? Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Belarus, South Africa, Egypt, Thailand, and Nicaragua. So, and this is apparently going to get bigger. This list that's joining the China and Russia Moon Initiative. What the heck is going on? Like, seriously, something is happening right now. I keep bringing it up, but like the whole people like Zuckerberg building $300 million bunker mansions, like I don't think he's doing it just to be cool. I don't think he cares about being cool. Frankly, I don't think he thinks about anything except for what his, next oiling is going to be. I don't understand it. But is there something that is going to come down the lane? What is going on? It really does concern me. I have crazy theories, and I know I sound crazy when I talk about the space stuff. And I know that a lot of you disagree with me, but it's just something that's been in my gut for a long time. And then before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go check out Enery. If you have been looking into solar generators or would like to, go over to Enery because they make the best solar generator out there, in my opinion. Again, these are in their own category by themselves. Because if you look at any of the competing units that can actually be modular and expandable, like this one, they are all made by a company that's essentially, if you look that company up, you'll see it foils through right back to a country we're talking about just literally 2 minutes ago. This one is not. This one is tough as nails. This one is reliable, and you know that the U.S. Army just had this win the STTR Phase 2 contract. It's got built-in heaters in every battery for extreme colds. Of course, it is modular. It's expandable up to 96 batteries, and just like Lego bricks, you can put in different changes into it. These bricks right here, you can actually add in, just like Sandwich, put it in there, and then it will have a new feature. Or you can just go to work and take it with one battery and charge your tools, use your electronics, do whatever you need with it, wherever. You don't have to have a 100-foot extension cord. You just need this right by your side. It's silent. It doesn't, of course, make any noise, so nobody's going to know you have it running. And it does not take any fuel. If we have SHTF, you may have barrels and barrels of gas, but what happens after those barrels and barrels of gas run out? Are you going to be able to get more in a really bad scenario? Well, we know from when gas stations or pipelines went down, it was hell even just a couple days down. If we could imagine a grid down scenario, something like that, it would be hell on earth. You definitely wouldn't be able to get your pharmacy stuff. You wouldn't be able to get your gas. You wouldn't have water supplies, or at least clean water supplies. So go over to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. And again, that is marfooglenews.com/energy and code Marfoogle. You'll save a bunch of money and you'll help our channel grow at the same time. More so, though, please just share our channel out. It would really, really be appreciated. We see that a lot of you guys have been sharing our stuff out. Thank you, and thank you. So it shows us in our analytics that you guys have been really the main reason we still grow. So thank you. Appreciate you guys, and couldn't say thank you enough to all of the Foogle fam that bring in new people, bring in your friends and family. We're competing with behemoths. And then mysterious underwater anomaly resurfaces off of Antarctica. This is really weird. Dex, do you want to go over what happened here? I mean, this is really, really odd.
Well, yeah, it sure is. I don't even know how to explain it, but there was one of the weather mapping systems that covers, sort of the height of waves and water, shows this really strange anomaly in the middle of the ocean there, where these massive waves were just building for a long period of time. And I think a couple of people have covered this online, and one of them we actually have a video we can show you so you can see what the anomaly looks like. But a lot of people are talking about it, and apparently it's happened before. So that's the other thing. But there was one anomaly they say appeared on the map from 8 a.m. Eastern on April 25th and reached over 80 feet. The waves did. And over the next 24 hours, the shape appeared to spread and diffuse as it moved north. So that just doesn't seem normal. Like, I'd maybe get it if there was a storm. But when you look at, like, what is causing it? Like, it's coming from one central point right there. Something is causing that massive wave increase, the big dark area, to fan out like that.
What if this is an asteroid?
That just seems really odd.
What if they guided an asteroid to Earth and it came in at an angle and then splashed down and caused a wave in one direction? Because you actually see that it does have a wave behind it, but the majority of it is in one direction, like as if something came down and hit the water. I thought that was really, really weird.
You see, as buddy said,
if you
would
see
that
it,
happen, in your opinion, would that last over a 24-hour period, or would that be much shorter if it was something splashing?
Oh, I guess you're right. I didn't think about how long this went. What the heck? I mean, volcano? I guess it could be a volcanic something that was just bubbling up from underneath. Like, what else could it be? Or is it just a glitch? I don't know. It's just, it really is weird. And then there's a video that we have from, we have this.
Could it be a gravitational pull in one spot, like a singular, like some sort of test or something that was sort of pulling gravity in that area, causing it to raise up? I don't know. There's all different
Where's
ways
the
you could spin this
poles?
one.
I wonder if you guys want to be sleuths, like, look up where the poles are at. The pole's been shifting all crazy around. It's been zigzagging all over the place. Was the pole there or something? Was there a discrepancy in some sort of weird anomaly elsewhere too? Are people not looking in the right place? Was there a secondary anomaly that was happening? It's very weird. Now check this out. This is credit to Wages found this. And Wages texted us. It's like, he's like, I've never seen something like this. He said, before I even tell anybody, I got to like ask people. Now I believe he's covered this. When I saw this, I thought, this is wild. If you look at the shadows, this is a camera supposedly in space facing the sun. Normally a CME comes off of the sun and it's really clear. It looks like fibers, blowing off of the sun. Watch this one, though. This is wild. So you'll see here what exactly I'm talking about. Look at that right there. I'll get my mug out of here. Watch this. You see that? And there's such a dark shadow back here. Now, is this a smudge on the camera? Is this something exploding? I had a weird thought, like maybe, something that they sent there was nuclear powered and it got too hot and blew up or something. Like, this is massive, by the way. If this was an explosion near the sun, this would be absolutely gigantic. The very pixel at the end of the pointer finger here, that's like Earth size. So this would have been massive. So this is super weird. Now, Dex, your point was that you do not believe it came from the sun because of it going forward and backwards, correct?
Yeah, inertial movement, something coming from the sun, all those little rays that are shooting out from that black cover there that's basically blocking the view of the sun, everything's moving away from it. So if something's moving away and it explodes, it's going to explode in the direction in which it's moving. It may go back a little, but this goes forward and backwards from its central point of explosion equally. It's sort of equidistant from, that area. There's a little bit of spread to the right or the south right there, southwest on that picture, but for the most part, there's a huge wave going backwards. So it doesn't make sense for that to be an object moving away from the sun at the great speed that we know those things are leaving the sun to actually blow up and go back towards the sun.
You know what else, too? Up here in the very top part of this, you see something that looks like a huge orb going towards and into the sun. Is that not freaking weird? Like, just throw your tinfoil hat on for a minute. Like, what if, because you know how they had that video a few years ago that showed something seemingly going up to the sun and drawing power from it and then flying off? What if something like that, this is like a portal, or it's not at all what we think it is, right? It's just so bright that you can't see what's behind it. Like, what if there's some big hole right in the middle that nobody can see because it's just so bright, and extraterrestrials or angels just pop in there? What if inside the sun is heaven? I don't know. It's crazy. Look at that. Look at how crazy that looks. And there's something like right there too. What do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments down below. All right. And then, Terry Quinn, Carlton Sutton, thank you. By the way, thank you, Carol White. I appreciate your support this week. Let's see here. Steve McQueen, thank you for subscribing or resubscribing. Thank you. And Darren, thank you for subscribing as well. Thank you for joining as members. Trey and Stephen Johansson, Stephen Johansson, and Resistance. Thank you. I appreciate you supporting. All right, what do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments down below. And then, Dex, let's go over JB. Sanction waivers give Iran access to billions of dollars in funds.
Well, yeah, not to be political on this, and some may take it as that, but when you look at what's actually happening here and you think about past presidents or other presidents and what they've done, sometimes you starve a country that's causing problems like Iran, and you keep them, I don't mean literally mean starve the people, but you prevent them from being rich and having tons of money so they're flush with cash to do bad things with it. Well, what they're suggesting or saying here and pointing out really is what they're doing is that the current administration has allowed billions in sanction waivers. In other words, allowing Iran to get around certain sanctions, as well as another estimated billions more in unsanctioned oil sales that were allowing them to have. And all that does is flush the Iranian government with tons of money. And of course, we know they turn around and take that money to the drone factories or to funding the proxy groups and everything else. So, what happens when you end up, as the quote is from the expert, what happens when you end up releasing that money is it goes into the general funds, which can then be used in lots of different ways. It's much different than some of the other money we've released where we had more control over it and said it could only be used for humanitarian needs. Now, even that, we know there's workarounds that they can probably do to help funnel that money if that's what they want to do to other organizations. But nonetheless, it's just obvious that what's going on right now is a lot of lip service to both sides and a lot of inaction to both sides from our administration. So it's really odd to see us in this position where you've got a clear, obvious answer over here. If you're trying to prevent conflict, it's just stop giving them money. Like that will it won't end it all, but it certainly will make a huge difference. If they're poor, they won't be able to buy all these toys that they use to hit all of our ships going through, the Red Sea or attack Israel or anything else.
Well, and because the former president said something around those keys, if he says anything, then if you repeat the same sentiment, then all of a sudden there's going to be a huge chunk of people that, oh, you're stupid, you're this, you're that, you hate certain types of people. I'm just going to judge you and label you every last thing. I think it's pretty common sense. You don't give people that have threatened to take you out for decades, you don't give them billions of dollars, and it will probably be a good thing. Dex, go ahead.
I mean, a perfect example, when the government just stopped buying uranium from Russia. So don't send them any more money, right? Even though it's important to us, and now it's going to cost us, the public of the U.S., by raising our electric bills, because uranium is going to cost a heck of a lot more. But you do it over here, but you don't do it over there, right?
Exactly. And I saw a comment in the chat. I'm sorry, it went by too fast, but somebody said that they believe that was an asteroid. This one, this was an asteroid going near the sun and heating up and exploding because of the heat and pressure, right? If that's true, that's an asteroid that's larger than Earth. That would be a rock. I don't know. No, maybe though. Maybe it could be a tiny one, but I guess we don't know how much of an explosion one would make if it went by the sun and blew up. But the tiny pixel at the end of the finger is supposedly the size of the Earth. Like, you can't even see it. So that would be an explosion that would be, to us, it would look like a supernova. So quite wild. Or what if it was way behind it? That's another thing. What if this was way, way, way behind the sun? What if a star just blew up? Like, that's a supernova way, way behind. Like millions of light years behind it, and it just happened to catch it. I don't know. I thought it was a cool catch. Even if it's a smudge on the camera, it's rare. I've seen 1,000 of these videos because every solar event Wages is covering this stuff all the time. And again, you can find him over at marfooglenews.com/friends, along with other great mods like Chance Paladin actually has his books. He's got several books over on Amazon. You can support an independent writer as well by going over there. Of course, you've got Ilea. She's dips into all sorts of comedy. She's just very smart voice actress. And then, of course, Trinity, Red or Blue Pill, spends hours and hours editing her videos. And then, of course, Rip Curl Readiness. He gets down out on the streets and he goes to prep shows and all sorts of cool stuff. So lots of great people over on the Friends channel. Make sure to go check them out. Rip Curl's been making it to a lot of shows. I really appreciate that. And then violent clashes spread across the U.S. and protesters and riot police. So there's riots in America. It's a riot on the streets. I'll wear you. I'm in a college doing what I do. Don't know what I'm doing, and I ask someone else what I'm doing. Because they don't know what they're doing. It sounded better in my head. And of course, everyone's watching this. You know, it's like we see just so many of these kids. I want to clarify because I said it the other day too. I think that if you believe in something, if you have an opinion and you are devoted to that opinion, you are actually researched on it, and you want to go out and support that. It doesn't matter if you are on the opposite end of the spectrum than I am or on the same side. If you know what you're doing, protesting is something that's been around since humans. So protesting isn't a bad thing. But I think that we all agree that these kids, and we were all there at one point, we were all 20, and maybe some of you are, we were all at 20 at one point and thought we knew everything. In fact, at 12, we thought we knew everything. 15, we thought we knew everything. At 18, we thought we knew everything. At 20, and so on. And it probably takes you 30 years to realize that you're probably not right, and you're never going to be right. Your wife is always right, or husband. But again, these kids, they don't even know why they're protesting. Just like you've seen those videos of people being asked, like, what's the capital of the United States of America? And they're like, Brazil. I mean, like, these kids are not getting educated. They're getting brainwashed and indoctrinated. That's my opinion. And not these kids, just all kids in general right now. It goes back to the 50s. It goes back to CIA. It goes back to all sorts of crazy stuff that you can go down the rabbit holes in. But when you look at the college system and everything else, these kids are supposed to be, going for their PhDs, this and that. But when they're asked a simple question, why are you out here? They don't know how to answer that. They look around, they go like, oh, wait, why are we out here? What are we protesting again? No, guys, help me out. Like, I'm on TV. What are we protesting? Oh, we're protesting. We're protesting. Oh, yeah. And the school, it's bad. Wait, why is the school bad? Oh, guys, help me out here. I'm on TV. Mom, hi, Mom. We're protesting because the school is bad. What did the school do? It did something. Yeah, and it needs to stop doing something. That's what's happening right now. I don't know what the percentage is of these kids that aren't actually, devoted to this cause, but I also realize that there's also a good chunk that are watching all of this stuff on social media. Anybody in this community knows that most of the stuff that we watch on social media is through a filter. It is either fake, it is reused. I mean, how many times we even saw, what was it? Didn't even Russia use like an old video of Texas, something on fire? It was either Ukraine or Russia. They just recently used like a Texas plant on fire and used it as a shot of a missile hitting. Like, we see that happen all the time. We see videos used from 2016 or 2018 of an electrical fire, and it will be used for a new story, and it will be done by like the New York Times or the most respected news agencies, and we see this all the time. So it's hard to believe almost anything now, but at that point too, social media is a whole lot different than, say, how older generations grew up, where when you actually you researched books that had footnotes, that had proof, that had evidence there, instead of I did my research, which means I watched someone else's YouTube video. That's not research. And maybe there is some chunks of that. Like, you can go to YouTube channels that actually do their footnotes, do their bibliographies, and give you the sources. Even then you have to go to the sources and say, did they have their sources? Did they have their footnotes? I admit that all of these articles and things are by human beings that are mostly, they're part of the system too. It's just getting bad. And mind you, we're looking at this through the lens like we've seen this coming, and not specifically this at the colleges or protesting for this exact reason. We've been seeing, we're waiting for this clash to happen, right? Between young and old, between this religion, that religion, this party and that party, this side versus that side, this country versus that country. It is pushed on every facet of the media, everywhere you look. And it's no accident. These are algorithms that are extremely advanced. If they wanted to show us Chad punching Chad, they would. But they don't. And you guys know what they show us. They show us things that enrage us. They show us things that make us angry. Because that is what is retaining us. That is what is keeping us there. You are much more likely to watch a clip if it makes you angry than you are if it makes you happy. It's just the facts. It's like a car crash. You don't want to see a car crash, but you can't look away. And this is what is happening right now in our entire world. It is very ridiculous that our entire world is going down the toilet, and most people are just kind of trying to get through their day-to-day life. It's just I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And then Jack Dorsey actually backed Colombia. So what's the main thoughts on that? I'm sure a lot of people are debating about that.
Yeah, well, he's coming out and putting his 2 cents in back in the protesters at Columbia and slamming the cops and even the current administration and the former administration over these crackdowns, as he's calling, as he's referring to them. So it's yet another public figure weighing in. Obviously, Jack, if you don't remember the name, was the creator and former owner of Twitter, who sold to Elon. And he, has a voice, so to speak. He didn't do a great job, I think, when he was speaking on the Senate. He came across kind of weird, but he's a weird guy. But anyway, he's putting it out there. So this is, going to continue to fuel it. And the more we see these opinions on both sides that ramp it up and push against it, the more you're going to fuel the divide, the more you're going to fuel the protest. And by the way, it's not just one-sided protest, it's a two-sided issue. So you got people talking on one side and bringing it up, and you got people like Jack talking on another side, bringing it up. So the more you see this, the more it's going to continue to fuel this divide in our country and create more tension and create, that escalation. And I also think it brings an opportunity for, bad actors on both sides to appear, or it brings an opportunity for the government to use, or someone to use these events to create or stage something that will make it available for them to bring about other changes that they want, whether it be enacting new laws, creating more restrictions, etc.
And restrictions and different laws that are going to affect us, that is what is going to come next. There will be a problem, and then they will come in with the solution, and the solution will be called for. People will be asking for it, saying, hey, save us, we need saving. Carol, thank you for your support. It says, love your family and friends. I want to point out the reason I put this out. I mean, almost every day there's something that I see or something I wake up to. I always usually tweet around 6 or 7 a.m. When I get up and get ready for work, and I always see something that just makes me think, like, it might be something my kids do, or it might be something I see on the news. But the reason I said this, and I was also talking to another creator that, by the way, this creator basically went through a kind of a crisis where this person was hitting a good amount of success, and they were on Omegle. And then Omegle, right when they started getting big, Omegle got shut down for all of the obvious reasons, but they were doing comedy stuff. Well, it's like, I absolutely knew. I knew this person was driven, and I've seen this person for years from, other streaming things, and I knew in my heart that they were just going to keep adapting and keep trying and keep going. Now they're on their way. In just a few short months, they're going to be at 1 million subscribers soon. And they went after Omegle. They found some sort of replacement. They kept doing it. They took risks. They, hired people to do special effects and things when they really shouldn't have, because, the next day they could have been completely broke. They took risks, and now they're successful. I prayed for this guy every day, and I saw this, and it's like almost overnight. It's like something great happened to him, and I knew it was going to happen, because when you see good people that really are good people on and off camera, this person's like a goofball on camera, but off camera, he's got a really great family. He cares about his kids. He cares about his kid, and he cares about his wife. And he pretends to be a goofball when really he's like a really sweet guy. But I said spend time with your family, because with all this stuff going on, we still have to have faith. We still have to pray. We still have to, and if you positive vibes, whatever your version of pray is, whatever your higher power is, that's up to you. But I know that we need to just keep positive through all of this, and I know that we don't say that enough, because we're covering all the scary stuff, but this scary stuff is what this community wants to know. This is what we are into. This is our personalities. This is what I would be doing if I didn't have this channel. This is what I was doing. This is what I've done since 2003 when I got a Loose Change DVD from a grassroots campaign from AJ. It's more of like once the alarm goes off and you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. There is no snooze button for this. But what we can do is we can spend time with our family or friends. And if you don't have family right now, you can find family. There are a lot of people I have friends that are just as good as family. So you make a choice every day, choose to love those around you, and that might not be your traditional family. It might be somebody else. But Carol, I love that message, and I really hope that people start saying it more often, especially the worse it gets, the louder we need to be about it. And then NYPD cops toss the Palestinian flag and hoist American flag on City College. It's almost purposeful. By the way, coming from both sides of this, it's like we look at it zoomed out. And if you really think about it, when they took down the American flag and then put up this other flag, that's crazy in itself. But then when the police go in and then rip it back down and then put it back up again, we're seeing like this is images of a future civil conflict. And it could have been any flag. American flag getting taken down, something else being put up in our country. It is pretty wild. If you look back 20 years ago, if something like this happened across the culture, across every channel, it would be totally frowned upon. Now it's actually being cheered on by all of the social medias, things like this. And in every country too, in France, in this country, in that country, every country is going by the same playbook. Now everything has been uniformed under kind of this big umbrella. And most of us know that they're trying to get everything under a single umbrella. And you see the same arguments, the same back and forth, the same divide is happening in every country in the world, whether there are allies or adversaries. All of these countries are split into two camps, and those two camps are then split into further subsections, and they're all at each other's necks right now. So if everybody woke up at the same time, the more people that wake up to it, the less the less this would be happening. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, go ahead.
I mean, look, this is raising a flag on another country on a country's territory. I mean, it's a huge symbolic thing, right? And I know that they're just protesters and they're trying to be peaceful or whatever. But look, this is like when you claim sovereignty. This is like when you claim a military victory. This is, even has a psychological effect on the people around. So it's kind of a big deal. And, when you see this type of activity happening, I mean, we've seen, I don't know. It may have happened in other protests in the past, but when I think back on it, I just don't really see other country flags being raised, as in a takeover, as in an occupation. And that's exactly what it's symbolic of. And I think that's kind of scary, no matter which side of this equation you're on.
By the way, who is the Viking that got arrested? Is this Ivor? Like, either they hired extremely small cops or this guy is a giant. You can see the cuff extenders there. This guy is a beast. Definitely not on the soy. But yeah, look at this. And then look at all the folks standing around here. Yeah, they're definitely, look at how small they are compared to that dude. And then you've got this guy standing there with his zip ties, hand on his belt like the sheriff. Like, what a crazy scene that we're watching right now. And then look at this. Khakis and blue. Seen that a lot lately, especially at rallies and things, of people that say that they're parts of other groups and everybody knows it's not. Just nuts. It's almost like some of it's purposeful or something. I don't know. It's weird. And then before we move on, go check out EMP Shield. For those that watch every day, it probably gets droned in But I do hope that a lot of you that have watched for a very long time, I know that a lot of you already have these on your car. I would say try to get your friends, family to try to get them in your cars as well. Because if you do have a plan to meet, a meeting place, a plan A, plan B, plan C, if you can't get to plan A, try to set up a plan B. If the freeway's down, or if it's clogged up or something, or heck, Teslas are stuck there and they've auto-driven themselves into each other like Leave the World Behind. Either way, you can protect yourself. EMP is a very real threat, but one thing that is not going to go away is the fact that there is a Carrington-level event that will eventually happen. All of these modern cars are completely digital. So if you want to ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second, not only from multiple EMP strikes, if an adversary ever does that, or from a Carrington-level event from the sun, then you would need just one device on your vehicle, an EMP shield. Again, it's the same company that's worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and the DEMSO team. They are helping protect the Texas grid right now. They were actually in the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security EMP Resilience Report, and they are one of the few companies that got called up to try to help harden the grid under our former president's executive order. That executive order, by the way, it was one of the few executive orders that President JB did not undo on his first day, but they're not enforcing it. We have heard kind of the back end on this. They're just not pushing it at all. Like it's there still, and it is still happening, but it is happening at a snail's pace. And I think that's pretty absurd. This is something that's preventable. These are two events that could completely be preventable. And I'm just wondering if 60 billion, 90 billion, 100 and something billion, all of these billions that we've talked about leaving, or that's been printed in the last few years for other things, could that have been enough to harden our entire grid 10 times over? Probably. And that's the sad part. These are two disasters that does not need to happen. They would be completely stopped in their tracks if this was done on the electrical level, and if this was done on a house level and on a car vehicle level from the factory. But it's not. So protect yourself. It's a stupid thing. Like if you couldn't get home and you're 40 miles away from home because of an EMP hits your car and knocks out all of your electronics, it would feel pretty stupid. It's an item that you won't need until you need, and when you do need it, you're going to be thankful for it. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. I had one guy in person tell me, "Oh, I wouldn't get that. It's stupid." But then he had he bought a new car, and he got the little the scribes on his window just in case his car got stolen. The dealership charged like $1,000 for them to scribe a little thing on their window. I was taught when I was like 16 that was a scam. So I was like, that same person spent $900 on somebody carving a serial number on their window, but didn't want to protect themselves against EMP. I thought it was kind of silly. Paid probably 3 or 4 times as much. And then Dubai unveils the world's biggest beach project to build high-tech biodomes and turn 45 miles of coast into mangrove reefs. So Dubai, it's like one thing after another. It's so weird because what they're doing in Dubai and what is happening there, they're having all of these smart towns, or I guess intelligent towns, right? We'll call them intelligent towns. And they're making these just absurd projects. Like the wall. What was the wall called? Is that Neom? Is it Neom? Dex, do you remember?
I believe that's the name of it, Neom. Which actually is only like a mile now. Or it's very small. It's gotten paused due to the conflict.
So Neom, and it's supposed to be miles long. It's going to be an all-encased city, and then on each wall of it, it's literally a wall that people will live inside, and everything will be on a single track, so you can get from one end to the other like that. It will have businesses and malls inside. Let me show you a picture of Neom. If you're new here and you haven't seen this, if you're old school, then we've talked about this a bunch. But Neom, Saudi Arabia. Boom. Check this out. This is what they are planning. They've started this. It is going to be this wall, right? It's going to be a glass kind of looking wall, and it will have a mirror image. Now, there's a point to all of this. So say this wall goes, see how in the middle there's going to be a city and towns and apartments in it. The elevator is going to be built into the main wall. There's going to be decks that are facing in. It's going to be this wild thing. And at the very end, there's going to be this high-end port for what do you call them? Yachts, right? And it's going to go miles long. Right now, it's stuck at about a mile because of what's going on. But these are the kind of projects they do. They do these crazy islands. They have so much money. This is what idiots do when they have just absorbent amount of money. They make silly rules like you can't even touch me because I'm the prince of whatever. I mean, like this is modern day, and they're still doing these silly things. And they're making these exorbitantly expensive things. Now they're going to make these biodomes, like straight out of Pauly Shore, only 45 miles worth of these mangroves. Not to mention they are on the front lines of doing things to the air above them with aircraft that will change the actual temperatures and things around them. They are now seeing, or at least this is the claim, that around the Holy Lands and in the Middle East in general, that they're seeing certain areas start to turn green. Something is just odd about this whole thing. But the design, the architecture stuff, they will do something. If somebody brings in a drawing to a Saudi prince and it looks super futuristic, they're like, how do we do it? You could put like some sort of like weird, artsy fartsy independent sculpture of a phallic object, and they'll go, oh, let's build it. It looks futuristic. They're spending so much money. And who's on their butts about spending frivolously like this? Like the U.S. spends on this and this and that. The whole world's on our butts about, oh, why aren't you helping people? Why isn't Saudi Arabia paying the bill instead of the U.S.? Saudi Arabia has like endless, fruitless money, and nobody's getting on their butts. And they have a fund that like helps and stuff. But it's like, why aren't they paying for UKR? Why aren't they paying for all these places? Why aren't they paying for our potholes? That's what I don't understand. Like, they have so much money, and it's just endless. It's endless. And they've been making it every day. How much money they make per day? I think they make as much per day as like we're sending to Ukraine. Like, it's insane. Dex, the mangrove project, those biodomes, why are they doing this? Like, it makes me wonder if it's because of something else. Like, why are they doing all of these weird sustainable projects?
Yeah, they just spending the money there. I guess unlimited amounts of cash, unlimited amounts of money, but they, trying to create something that doesn't exist, create a biodome, create an environment. I mean, we've seen some extreme ideas, such as even bringing in, giant icebergs and driving them over off of the shore and parking them and anchoring them out there to create and change the environment there so that they can have, more, greenery and more lush environments. So yeah, this entire thing, and I think if you can refresh, you might actually, I put a couple pictures in there. You can see some of the renderings of what they're trying to do. It's in the early stages. Obviously, it's still in the concept phase, but there's a couple pictures you can see. They're going to have these literal biodomes, and in certain areas, and then they're going to have these outdoor areas that they're creating, these reefs, if you want to call them mangrove reefs, as they say it. But it's all, it's just like, NEOM. It's this massively expensive created environments and areas that they're trying to build and make something in this desert area that doesn't exist.
It looks like a bunch of butt cheeks. I don't know what they're doing. It's like I said, it's just like Come in, you could have your kid throw Play-Doh on the wall and be like, make that. And they're like, oh, only if it's over $1 billion. Or I think then they laugh. They go, you mean $1 trillion. Sorry, $1 trillion.
I thought they were cups. Now, I know my mind's in the gutter, but...
Oh, they look like cups. Like, what is going on? Well, they are nuts. Oh, sorry. Dad joke of the day. Bad dad joke of the day. Okay. And then supercomputer predicts humans will face a triple whammy extinction event. If it wasn't bad enough with all of these smart college kids. Dex, do you want to go about how the world ends?
Yeah, so these brilliant people decided to load a supercomputer I think this was in the University of Bristol, and they were filling it with a lot of information about what's been going on with the Earth and what they know about science and the sun and the environment, so to speak, and those changes that we know happen. And they filled it into the supercomputer to sort of give a prediction of what's going to happen over time. Now, fortunately, don't panic. It doesn't say it's happening in our immediate lifetime, but what they also were able to predict was some really strange things, like the continents. The continents actually drift. Well, as we fast forward really far into the future, like 250 million years from now, all the continents have drifted together, and they're right in the middle of the Earth. I think there's an interesting image of that. There's also this notion at that time that the sun will be emitting a lot more radiation and more heat. And because the continent's drifting towards the center, which will be the closest to the sun, it'll be between like 104 degrees and 160 degrees on Earth. So basically, a lot of things are going to happen that are going to basically make our planet uninhabitable over time. At least according to the supercomputer, according to what they programmed into it. So,
and how many years from now is it?
It's 250 million years from now. So it's almost like most people would roll their eyes at that. So
wait,
I sort of do.
You've got all these people saying we need to change everything right now because everything's going to change in 12 years. And they say in 250 million years, it's going to be maybe 140 degrees to 160 degrees. That's 250 million years. Million. Dinosaurs were 66 million years ago, supposedly, right? So, what?
Yeah, that heat map is pretty red, though, that they've got here, where you can see the continents kind of crammed together.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's 250 million. What's going to happen in 1,000 years from now compared to this, right? I don't know. Something's definitely off. As far as a triple whammy, maybe that's why they're going to Mars. I doubt it, though. I think it's because they know something's going to happen. And then New York City warned of radicalization infiltrating city. What do you call it when, like, I don't know, you have like you just brought home, a computer. You open it up, you have to do the initial setup. Setup. You have a tent, you open it up, you put the poles in, you're setting it up. And now we go to this article. New York officials warned of radicalization infiltrating the city amid ongoing protests at different college campuses, including Columbia University in Manhattan. During a press conference on Wednesday, New York Police Department Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism, Rebecca Weiner, or Wiener, whatever, said that there is a concern about radicalization in the city. She stopped short of calling it homegrown terrorism. It says, but said officials were seeing a concerning trajectory among young people. This is kind of crazy because they're not saying this about the rednecks. They're saying this about the college kids. New York City Mayor Eric Adams made similar comments during the press conference, saying that there was a movement to really change these young people, and I'm not going to wait until it's done and all of a sudden acknowledge the existence of it. I gotta get this clip of this guy. He talks about, let me see if I can, hold on. I want to, Dex, do you want to give your opinion on this? I'm going to look something up real quick. I want to see if I can find this.
Well, look, I'm going to continue the quote while you pull that up. He goes, "This is a global problem that young people are being influenced by those who are professionals at radical and doing this to them, doing this to our children. I'm not going to allow that to happen as the mayor of the city of New York." So my question is, like, why is it just now? Why now are we saying that when you could look back at the massive changes that our youth have gone through in colleges for decades? And, it's like movement after movement after movement. There have been professionals, whether they're paid to work there or outside influencers that are coming in, that are influencing that youth and creating all sorts of rifts. And we've even seen others have told us 50 years ago that this was actually by design. It was actually, if you could infiltrate the educational system and you could change the youth, all it took was 2 or 3 generations. And once you've done enough of them, you could bring, basically weaken or bring down a civilization, or in this case, our country. So it's interesting because a lot of times you would see people on this side, and now I'm getting political. I'm not trying to be political. People on one side of the political spectrum sit there and tell you, oh, we have to allow them to be free and learn what they want to learn in school, et cetera, et cetera. And now all of a sudden those same people that have been proponents of these massive changes in ideals and ideation that have been taught for decades now in schools, jumping up and saying, wait, we can't have this happening now. Where were you 10 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago? Where were you last year? Yes, do it now too, but still, like this, I don't know. I just think it's kind of crazy that they flip-flop on an issue when it's important to them, and only when it's important to them. And, it's on one hand, it's disheartening, and on the other hand, I think it very much, as you were giving your tent analogy, there definitely seems to be a lot of setting up of tents.
Well, we just need Saudi Arabia to build something over it, if you know what I mean. And then this is an article, and what's funny is this is actually saying the opposite, that the opposite side would be the ones who are going to get the youth to do all of this stuff. One of the quotes in here, when young people do not have a sense of belonging at home or in school, they may seek radical alternatives. Now, think about how kids are in school. You see this a lot, by the way. Viral videos of the 90s and early 2000s of kids at school or kids at parties. Every single kid, not one single cell phone. You see all of them talking, and even the lone wolves, were sitting against the wall and talking to their other, loner buddies. And if you were truly alone, you probably weren't there for too long before you left the party. All the people were talking, and you had your crew, you had your clique back in high school, whatever else. But you weren't sitting there on a phone with 50 other people and everyone else on their phone. That is literally pulling you out of social situations and isolating you. When they don't have a sense of belonging at home. Now, the home is fractured now. And whose fault is this? Our culture has actually pushed this whole thing of the family unit has been dissolved, and part of this is they're trying to do away with anything that has to do with kind of traditional morals and values. Well, there's a reason why traditional morals and values had kind of a base kind of setup of a structure. Now, you don't have to be religious to have some sort of structure in your home. I'm sure some of you had a really structured home back in the day that you weren't religious. You didn't go to church every Sunday. But you had structure, you had family time, you had Friday nights, you played board games with your family back in the day. You had those kind of things without it. A lot of those values, though, if they get deleted, what people don't realize is overall as a society, when there's nothing really to cling to, everybody goes their own direction. And that's called something. It's pretty bad. Now, they give it an example, and this was back in 2021, and they say the scary truth about student radicalization, it can happen here. And then fast forward 3 years, look at what we are seeing. They said it would be people under T-Man that would be doing it. Are these T-Man supporters? No, they are not. And who are they? What colleges are doing it, right? It's mostly a certain kind of bias that's going on here. So it is pretty crazy. And they give the example of back in Germany, they basically trained the college students, up through college students. They trained them like, this is our cause. This is what we need to do. And gosh, there's so many similarities nowadays. It's insane. So yeah, it's getting crazy. If you don't have food at home, highly recommend having some. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get a huge discount and support our channel at the same time. Very, very insane show today. Thank you, everybody that joined us. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Avon88. Thank you, 33 Avon88. I appreciate that. The British perspective. If students protest like this, MAGA has OMG. Yeah, if they were wearing a red hat during this, I could only imagine how fast that would be broken up. And then Sissy Jean, this mountain girl knows good people. When you spend time with them, love you, Marf and Dex and Fugel family. P.S. I named my cat Marf. LOL. That is actually awesome. I'm honored. So cool to meet you all. You inspire us. Stealth Mode, you have been awesome. Thank you for being in our chat every day. I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for everybody that makes it to every show. Could not do it without everybody watching the replays the next morning. You guys, thank you so much for drinking your coffee or being at work at the warehouse or wherever you are, driving and listening to us on audio. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Couldn't say enough thank yous. Dex, now we have a Macron piece. Is that new or old? Is that maybe we were supposed to show that earlier?
No.
Okay, never mind. That's from the couple shows ago. Never mind. Talking about how Macron can no longer rely on the U.S. That's from the show we talked about Macron, and basically, I wonder if he's going to have his Macronies. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank you, Poco Loco, Me Man 1984. Thank you for hosting. Thank you for bringing people over. That's super, super cool. Thank you again to Genius by Birth. Again, thank you for everybody. End is near. J-Girl, that's me. Thank you, Bobby Sue. Today's show. Thank you so much, J-Girl, that's me. Badger 1. Of course, everyone else. And then if you want a short shareable video that you can share out with your friends and family about the mice story, make sure to go over and check out our other video. It's over on our sister channel, Marfoogle News. If you want to see that, click here. Join us for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Let's make a fresh one. Let's make a fresh one.